change her mind, even though research has shown that it is much more likely that the commissioning parents will change their minds and reject the child. Make no mistake, this is an attack on all women because it reduces the enormous biological and psychological investment of pregnancy and childbirth into the equivalence of a man's ejaculation. It would be a dangerous precedent that would reduce the status and legal rights of all mothers. The surrogacy industry is predicated on the commodification of babies and women's reproductive powers, and this is the premise on which the Law Commission's recommendations are based. Women, we must resist this change. We must not allow this law to go through. Let's all of us unite in resistance to this sexist and anti-woman and child bill. So what can you do as individuals? Please write to your MP asking them to reject the recommendations and vote against any bill based on them. We've already set up a template letter and a 2-minute tool that you can use to send it to your MP in 2 minutes. And we've also got tips for writing your own personalised letter if you prefer. You can find all this in our pinned tweet. We're at Nordic Model Now. Please follow us and please share the hell out of our posts about the template letter.
Thank you! That was brilliant, thank you so much. Now we've got another special guest who we haven't announced. It's from Norway.
Yay!
You might know who she is.
Lesbian, not criminal!
Here we go. You alright getting up? Yeah, that's all right. Hello!
Everyone big round of applause!
I'm Tonje from Norway. I'm lesbian, not criminal. And I just have to say, it's so fantastic to come from Norway to here, Turf Island. Brilliant woman, because we need what you are doing in Norway.
Yeah.
So in Norway they have in a way changed the definition of adult human female. So in Norway they have also changed the definition of adult human female, so it includes men. And I want to respect a law that's including men in our definition. But I made the vagina anthem. And I was not allowed to perform it because it could potentially hurt men with feelings. So we are going to perform it now, but I need some help from can do the lyrics.
Who knows the lyrics? Come closer.
Come on.
If you know the lyrics, come to
Come
the
on.
front.
What's the tune?
I need women who can do the lyrics. Come on.
Come on, come closer.
Let me start.
Come on, let them through.
Where are you?
Come on, come closer.
Do you know it? Yeah.
Sorry, I'm here. Yeah, come on.
All the women who know the answer, that's right. Come on to the front. Come on to the front.
So,
Come on to the front.
I can see.
sorry.
You guys as well.
So you haven't done the member join. Who knows it?
Yeah, where's the little one who should help me with the signs and everything? Mary. Yeah, where's Mary?
Mary!
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 Mary! Mary! Mary! Mary!
Where are you, Mary? We want Mary.
Is she here?
Yes, she is. Come on, look. Everyone will work harder. Mary! 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 All right, we're giving it a go.
We'll give it a go.
You get it. You recognise it.
Yeah. You ready?
Go on, Tanya! 1, 2, 3! Mary! Mary! Mary!
on. This is a trial run. Don't join in yet, okay? She's just going to do it. Okay.
We do have lyrics.
Go on.
I've sent it to some women. It's on your phone.
Yeah,
you
we'll
know
just
what
share
groups
it.
we're in.
They can just join in with the women and vaginas bit. Go on.
Dive in when it's the
Because we are
vagina.
women with vaginas and the guts to carry on.
I don't know, where is it?
We are women with vaginas and the strength to carry on. We are your mothers, your sisters, your lovers. We protect with love, good fights. We are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters. And we will fight to... Why is my voice so loud? It's a gift from above.
One, dos, tres. I'm a lazy, stupid bimbo. I'm moving curvy chick. A tomboy every day and a shame it makes me sick. I'm a hateful, ugly turf. A nasty, bossy cunt. I'm a slut. I'm a virgin. I insulted Donald Trump. I'm an angry pussy rival. I'm the one you want to silence. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck is wrong with you? I don't care for your emotions. Emotions, darling. You're just another dickhead in the suit. 3, 4, 5. 'Cause we are women with vaginas. We confirm to all you fools. We are women with vaginas. And we are here to change the rules. We are your mothers, your sisters, your lovers. So what the fuck is wrong with you? We are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters. So what the fuck is wrong with you? 'Cause we are heroes with vaginas and the guts to bring it on. We are heroes with vaginas and the strength to carry on. We are your mothers, your sisters, your lovers. We protect, we love and fight. We are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, and we will fight to make it right. I am smart, I am strong, I have the strength to bring it on. She is smart, she is strong, she has the strength to bring it on. All this shaming, blaming, and shitty mansplaining to silence women. To silence women.
The silent women, sorry.
I have opinions, I speak my mind. You want a silent girl? I'm not that kind. I have a choice. I use my voice. You can't ignore this thing. We go on. 1, 2, 3, 4. 'Cause we are women with vaginas. We give birth to wonderfuls. We are women with vaginas, and we are here to change the rules. We are your mothers, your sisters, your lovers. What the fuck is wrong with you? We are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters. So what the fuck is wrong with you? 'Cause we are heroes with vaginas and the guts to bring it on. We are heroes with vaginas and the strength to carry on. We are your mothers, your sisters, your lovers. We protect, we love and fight. We are your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, and we will fight to make it right.
I've got to read up my thing about Laura. Okay. Jan, we want to go next, quick one? Quick valve, yeah? I'm going to be handing these. You hand some of these? Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jan from Object. I'm a former teacher and I expect you all to have memorised that poem by Monday. There will be a test. I want to echo everything that Anna from Nordic Model Now said about surrogacy. You might think that we're here to talk about the trans cult, and of course surrogacy is the new trans. Think about who profits from this cult. Big Pharma profits when you transition, and it profits when you detransition. All the medical people, all the surgeons, all the counsellors, all the psychotherapists, all the manufacturers of size 12 high heels, all profit from this ridiculous cult. And when all these people have ruined their bodies by taking hormones, and they reach the age of 25, 30, and they're busy pretending they're having a normal, happy life, they will want children. They can't have children because the stuff they've taken will damage their fertility. And also they're very busy, special and important people, particularly stunning and brave, so they don't want to take time out to have babies and all that messy stuff. They want a ready-made surrogate. So there's a huge link between the trans cult and the government surrogacy proposals. Do please go online and fill in the Nordic model template. Also, when the Law Commission did their travesty of a consultation, breaking all their own principles, you can read all about it on the Object site, we did some research of our own to ask women what they thought about surrogacy. And all the wonderful women we talked to came back with no less than 60 reasons why surrogacy is a really bad idea. Most of them concern the welfare of women. Well, as we know, no one cares about that. That's not going to get a lot of attention. But people do care about the puppies, the children, and the NHS. So here are your key arguments when you're sitting in the pub, having a nice glass of wine, telling everybody about the fun time you had at Speaker's Corner today. First of all, the puppies. It's Kennel Club regulations that breeders have to let every puppy stay with its mother for, I believe, 6 weeks to bond, to breastfeed, and have a good start in life. Human babies, rip them away the same day and pass them over. How can that be right? That's the puppies. The children. It's very sad when children have to be adopted. It's usually for nobody's fault, somebody's died, something bad's happened. Those children need a good family. Children cannot consent. They're unborn. They're not even conceived. How can they consent to be surrogated? They are the most vulnerable people in this exchange. They cannot possibly consent. There's likely to be all sorts of psychological issues that children who are surrogated will get. We haven't got enough yet. There's no evidence, even though surrogacy has gone up tenfold in the last 10 years. When are we going to get some proper studies and look at this? So think about the children who cannot consent. And then think about our NHS, which is very dear to us, despite everything that's been done to it in the last 10 years. When all these lovely little clinics are springing up, doing surrogacy transactions and lovely little tests and telling you the sex of your baby before you really want to know it, they will be making a lot of money. And when their little private wards find there's something they cannot cope with, what are they going to do? They're going to send that person down to the nearest NHS hospital and dump it on the maternity ward for the NHS staff to sort out. It will shoot to the top of the pile because it's priority, and all the other women will go down the pile. Now, you will have read, as concerned citizens, about the huge likelihood that black women will die in childbirth, not get pain relief. You will have read about the state of our maternity services. They're not even giving women gas and air for pain relief in some places because you can't open the windows. So you can imagine what that's going to do to the NHS. And finally, the government puts a lot of trust in non-profits. The non-profits are good. They are charities. They only care. Okay, I'll say to you, Kids Company, Oxfam, Mermaids, Amnesty International, infiltrated by the sex trade, and of course our wonderful best friends, Mermaids and Stonewall. I'll make my point. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan! Stop surrogacy now! Stop surrogacy now! Stop surrogacy now! Stop surrogacy now! Stop surrogacy now!
And now we have the very wonderful Julia Long. Ooh, oh, look at you. Hello! Hello! Good afternoon! Good morning, good evening, good day or good night, whoever's watching on the live stream, wherever you are. Friends, women, adult human females. All you old-fashioned ones, the ones with vaginas. Male supporters. I won't go into your anatomy, but we all know it's quite different in various ways.
That's because you're a lesbian.
Wonderful, wonderful to see everyone. What a fabulous day. I know it's corny, but what can I say? The sun shines on the righteous. Here we are. I'm even a bit disoriented by the fact that I can actually hear myself speak. So I could almost be at a loss for words, but fortunately, I don't think I will be. So, yes, first I wanted to say, obviously, I think someone said before, Kelly J. Keane, all the women involved in Standing for Women and Let Women Speak, which is now becoming or has become a global movement. We are here for you. We are part of Let Women Speak. We are here to bring our voices loud and clear with that message, Let Women Speak. And it is a testament to all of you, everyone who's been involved, everyone who's worked so hard to make these meetings possible. We are here, and it's a testament that we are all here in numbers to just add our voices to that message, Let Women Speak. Clapping myself. I'm going to move myself to tears in a minute. Join in. So, a couple of things I want to say. First of all, women in Australia, women in Tasmania, women in New Zealand, I hope you know you are not forgotten. We think of you. Just earlier this week, a sizable group of us were outside the New Zealand Embassy here in London, reading your speeches. They were heard, they were live streamed. I understand that is happening, and I encourage women in other countries to go to the New Zealand Embassy or the New Zealand High Commission, whatever it is, in your cities, and go and read those words. Let those women know that we do not forget them. We absolutely stand with them, and we look forward to the time that their government and their police utter the most abject apology for the very, very serious life-endangering peril that they subjected those women to. We all saw what happened. In particular, I understand that the woman who was so horribly, viciously, violently punched several times in the face, I understand just from social media, but this is what I hear, is that they actually broke her orbital, like part of her skull, the eye. So we want to say a special, I don't even know your name, but we send our special love and greetings to you. We hope you're doing well. Yay! And which camera am I even looking at? This one, is it? I don't know, I'm looking at the wrong one. And I understand as well there was a woman who actually broke her foot was broken by the violent anti-women's rights activists. So special mention to you, but really special mention to every single woman who was there. And as we've said already, those really heroic, brave marshals and others who ensured that those women actually made it out of there alive. That is something we will never ever forget, and we are absolutely with you. Which is Venice?
Yeah, next to Heather, that one.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the tallest one.
The sound.
The
sound's not working.
Oh, come on. Let's do it all again. Oh, come on.
Keep saying, even if they don't say it here.
Well, it's been...
It's not about that, it's about this. Can you hear now at home? Can you hear now at home? Can you hear now at home? That's better. Yeah. I've lost sound too. Yay, it's working.
Well, you're right up close,
I
I
don't know
might
if
not
it
be.
is. Can you shout out to Alison to come here? 'Cause she's got another one of these.
Oh. Alison, we need a mic, so bring it, please. Oh, everyone in the set. Alison.
So you're going to give her that bit?
Yeah. Do I have to say much of that again? Because they're going to get bored.
Not yet. Not yet, Julia. You say it's working, but there's no green light.
It's fantastic. How are you going to repeat it?
You don't have to repeat it again.
No, I'll just
It's
say
for the
quickly. I
people
just want
here.
to say solidarity to the women in.
Yeah. And then the woman who got punched.
Yeah.
No sound again, please.
You always look such a
Okay,
prat
guys,
as well, don't you,
can
when
you
you're
hear
going
now?
like that?
We haven't got. So say no sound. My microphone's run out. We're getting another one from Alison. Right. Yes, you can hear. Just wait a minute.
You take that.
Yes.
Not another supply yet.
Got just put it on.
Yes.
Is that it? Is that the full thing?
Turn it on.
Okay, the sound is back. Can you hear us now? Yes, it's working. Yes, perfect.
Can you hear this? Can you hear this? Can they hear this one?
Yes.
Yeah? I'll just say the solidarity. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't know how much of that got missed, but just to say again, love and solidarity to all the women of Australia, Tasmania, and New Zealand, and in particular, a special greetings and solidarity and love to the woman who was so viciously and violently punched. That the violent man broke her eye socket, the orbital. So it was absolutely horrific. So we just want to specially mention you, and also the woman whose foot was broken. But there's probably more that I don't even know about. But all of the women who were there, and all the marshals and all the security and attendees, those supporters who made sure that all of those who were there for Let Women Speak actually got out alive, and that is no exaggeration.
Yeah.
You saved their lives. Yeah. Okay. Well, let me do this. Okay. So I just also wanted to say something a bit closer to home. Some of you might have seen an article in the Sunday Times this morning by Hadley Freeman about various aspects of what this bullying and persecution is, what they're doing to women. And in particular, I want to mention a woman who I have the privilege to know over a few years now, a woman I can say is of the utmost integrity and brilliance as an academic, as a sociologist, a scholar, an academic. Her name is Laura Favaro. Laura, spelled like Laura. Favaro, Favaro. And Laura has had to be driven to take legal action against her former institution, City University of London. She has a crowdfunder. I'm going to say this a couple of times. She has a crowdfunder with Crowd Justice. As I recall, it's called something like Academic Freedom for Feminists. But if you search something along those lines, crowdfunder Laura Favaro, you will find it. She's been forced to take legal action. You can read the full case on her crowdfunder page. But she's been forced into this action, which I am sure she did not want to pursue, because of the ostracism she's experienced, the bullying from her own institution and others that they failed to protect her from, their intimidation of her, their attempts to withhold her own research data from her, the pressure they put on her to destroy the transcripts that she had, all of that work that she's done over several years, the transcripts that she has, and generally all of her scholarship, they are now trying to take from her and to silence her, and they've actually terminated her contract. even though I believe she was on a permanent contract, they're now claiming that it was a temporary one. So she's also lost her livelihood, or they have taken action that has resulted in that. So you might wonder, why have they done this? What is so dangerous about her findings that they want it to be absolutely silenced and quashed so that it does not see the light of day? Well, perhaps it might illuminate matters if I tell you that her research project was called something along the lines of the gender wars, sex and gender wars, something like that, in academia. I know that Laura's research, it was, as I recall, it was a postdoctoral research project, and it passed all of the usual processes of, via the ethics committee, all of that. It passed all of that, and she went off and did her research. And as I remember, there was no issue with any of it until a piece was published in the Times Higher Ed supplement. I think it was last autumn. And then after that, we started to see the backlash from those trans activist types within academia deciding they were going to make a big fuss about it. And that's where all of this backlash came. That's resulted in these consequences from City University. So I know she interviewed a wide range of academics, both those, broadly speaking, those who think that some women do have penises and those who think that, on the whole, 100%, women do not have penises. So that's, broadly speaking, this is the level of our academia at the moment. These are the kinds of, really nuanced philosophical questions that everyone is preoccupied with. So I wonder, she was interested in looking at, are women who believe, or other individuals as well, men too, who understand that women don't have a penis, are they being silenced within academia? Possibly by any chance. And I think without reading her results, we can see exactly what the answer is to that question. So I know there are a lot of crowdfunders out there, but this one, I really hope that those of us who are in a position to can really get behind. Laura is a young woman, she has a family, she's got responsibilities, she has maintained such a dignity and courage through all of this. She could have just walked away from it, and she has maintained such a dignity and courage and steadfastness, because she knows that if they are successful in silencing her, what does that say to all the students coming through? What does that say to all the other? And she's not at that senior point where of professorship where her position is secure, that she's done this at a relatively early stage. So Laura, if you're watching, we are absolutely with you. We're all behind you. Viva Laura! Viva Laura!
So we have a bit of women's rights and human rights. Time for more next week.
Shall we have a sing-song?
Yeah, everyone got the
Has everyone got the...
Yeah.
Oh.
Put it on your shirt.
Huh? How about if I do that? Is that working? No. Has it gone off?
The battery's gone.
If everyone start low.
Hold on, let me find it, Venice.
Start low.
Wait, let me find it. I haven't got it. Hold on.
Can everyone at home hear? Sound good? Everyone working. I'm not singing into the mic though. Do
you want to
Have we
sing,
got
Julia?
any women here who can actually sing?
What are you trying to say, Venice?
No, we'll put it on you.
What are you trying to say?
Come
I've
over
got it
here,
here.
the
All
mic.
right, okay. I got it. Yeah, we got. Who's got a good voice? Julie's got a good voice. I don't like all these aspersions.
Together.
Okay.
You stand in front of it. You stay on the ladder.
We haven't got a mic. I haven't
Yes,
come
she's
and
got the
taken
mic.
Oh.
She's got a good voice.
Warrior woman. All right.
Everyone got the words?
Right, start low. 'Cause it goes low. Right.
We stand together side by side. We will defend our rights. We stand together side by side. We'll not give up this fight. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet. Politicians and their friends may think we can be cowed. Our minds and bodies will defend. Our no will ring out loud. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet. So here's a hand in sisterhood. Our sex won't be denied. For dignity, reality, we are standing side by side. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet.
For the song.
Let women speak! Let women speak! Let women speak! Let women speak! Let women speak!
We have another woman to speak.
Spitting everywhere.
I am a woman born and raised in Latin America, who came to live in a piece of land in which being Latina, with an A, means something. A person, a human, defined by two words in which an X has no room, because it says nothing, because the linguistics of my existence already came with a story that an X would only deny. Stop calling us Latinx.
Yes.
Being a woman has shaped my life, my personal and professional decisions, the places I go, where I live, my fears. If being born in the wrong sex is even a thing, then all women did. As the singer Ele from Puerto Rico says, we are the mistake men never make. And we are constantly reminded of our mistaken existence by them, by men in every way, depicted in all the violence we have to endure around the world, even before we are born. Being sexually harassed on the streets, workplaces, educational institutions, toilets, buses, trains, discriminated against for being mothers or just according to them a potential one, for being a certain age or looking in a certain way, we are forced to exist through them. I have seen, read and listened to my fellow Latin American women in the countryside who suffer the reality of being female in deeply violent and conflicted societies, gun raped, trafficked and tortured by military men as part of their strategy to win the game of who's the strongest man of all. I wonder what the so-called pro-women organizations have to say about these women. Do they genuinely think they endure such violence because they want to? Because they haven't been smart enough to claim themselves men, to make their suffering go away? Is that what we need to do when we are harassed or followed by a stranger on the street? Is that what the little girls around the world need to say to avoid genital mutilation or being married off at the age of 6?
Like it or not, accept it or not, we women have historically suffered violence based on our sex. And misusing language to accommodate reality for the convenience of a certain group in the name of inclusion erase the battles, social presence and reality of half of the population. Because that's who we are. We are not another group. We are the other half of the orange. Language mutates, yes, but regardless of the changes, it never stops from reflecting reality in order to deny it for some people's whim. Women rely on language and discourse clarity to be able to argue and fight. Remember that our physiognomy in this society plays against us. Language and ideas is all we have. We will not be pushed out of universities.
No.
Knowledge and public spaces belong to us as much as any other space in the world. We need to take power of naming away from men's hands. And to the actively working women working against us, a phrase by Andrea Dworkin. No woman's betrayal will make us dumb and dead. No more and never again.
Can I just say, if anyone's feeling tired, there's space to sit down here. If you can't hear, or if you want to sit down, just come and sit on the floor here. Okay, we've got this woman. I don't know your name. You climb over. Belt it out. Keep it short.
Hello, everybody! I'll try and speak as loud as I can. I've come here today from Dorset. I wanted to come and speak to you about my daughter and what the school did. In a nutshell, this is what they did. It started when she was 11.
Oh my God.
She came out as a lesbian to me, and I said, that's fab, brilliant, amazing. There was no need for a big party because that's fine. I kind of knew it. I kind of knew it from the start. And then that's when she started to change a little bit. She started getting quite quiet, a little bit moody, and finally she confessed that she'd been getting called a lesbian bitch. She was being bullied by her friends in school, and she completely withdrew. She became very isolated and was being bullied. The school did nothing. That was primary school.
Shameful.
She started at secondary school, and not long after that, unbeknownst to me, she was being socially transitioned because it was better to be a cute trans boy than to be a lesbian girl.
Shame.
This was all done without my knowledge. Do you want to know how I found out?
Groomers.
I got a text message to say she wasn't in school. They said, your son, by the boy's name, I won't say it, I don't want to out her. The boy's name is not in school. Please can you call to find out? Her dad had been helping her socially transition against my knowledge or consent. When I tried to bring it up with the school, they basically called me a transphobe without using that language. I tried to get help. I was advised to maybe speak to a solicitor, find out what my rights were. Do you know what the solicitor said? Try supporting your son. Oh. She was 12 years old. 12. She's now 13 years old. Last year, she said, it's not that I hate my body, it's just that that's who I want to be. And when I'm 16, I'll save up enough money to get testosterone. And then when I'm 18, I can get my breasts removed. She told me I'm wearing a chest binder. They're not harmful. I asked her, does she think that taking testosterone is harmful? And she said, no, I've done the research.
Yeah, from mermaids.
The reason I have absolutely no power anymore is because
She's now living with her dad, who accepts her social transition. All this was done behind my back. I wasn't even given a chance to discuss it with her, to ask her what her issues were. So the school have been complicit in transing my daughter.
Shame on them.
While she's been at her dad's house, she's self-harmed. And this was after she socially transitioned, not before. And when I've asked her about it, she just says because she can't cope. I don't think she can cope because she's being told she's a boy when she's not. She's a lesbian.
Yeah.
And this is really hard because I'm so worried about her and I don't know where I can turn. I don't know what to do. I tell her that I love her and the door is always open for her to come back. But she's been convinced by everybody that I'm her enemy.
It's not your fault.
I told her that taking those drugs might be harmful to her. And she said, well, women get very hysterical. She's got so much internalized misogyny. And I'm not there to help her anymore. And it's heartbreaking. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
I don't really know what words I can say to follow that up. So we've got our next speaker, who's just climbing over now. Let me pop this on here.
Hi everyone. Hello. We all know that the policy capture of gender ideology in all of our institutions, in our health service, in our kids' schools, in our workplaces, in our public spaces, and we're all here today to say enough is enough. I saw those pictures, the footage from New Zealand, and I was so shocked at the level of violence being directed at those women. We've all seen it on social media. We've all seen women get persecuted for saying the truth, that a woman is an adult human female and human beings can't change sex. We are all sick of our children being indoctrinated in schools. So, every one of us somehow needs to start making little steps to stop this madness. So this is also happening in our workplaces, and a group of women, including myself, work in financial services, and we've set up the second Sex Equality and Equity Network in a workplace. Ours is in a workplace one. Ours is a financial services industry-wide one. The first one was set up by the civil service. And that network is for people who work in financial services, and it is all about the protected characteristics in the Equality Act for which sex matters. And they are sex, pregnancy and maternity, and sexual orientation. And bit by bit, we hope to change the culture which is silencing us, silencing everybody who have got reasonable and rational concerns about what is happening in our society and in our workplaces. So one of the things, and the other women on our Scene in the City steerco are from banks and other financial services institutions. And so if anybody's watching this and you work in financial services, please look us up on LinkedIn. We're called Scene in the City.
Say it again.
Scene in the City.
Seed?
Scene. S-E-E-N. It's a sex equality and equity network for financial services. And one of the things that's happening in financial services is, and I'm sure this is happening in a lot of workplaces, is that our single-sex spaces have been erased now. Men are allowed to self-ID into women-only spaces. And I don't consent to that. I don't consent to a man being in my space, in my workplace. Okay, that's great. The other thing that's happening in HR policies is that D&I policies have erased women from them. Sex is no longer in there. It's been replaced with gender or gender identity. I don't identify as a woman, I am a woman. The other thing that's happening in our workplaces is that maternity policies don't even mention the word mother anymore or woman. And what is worse, they have links to surrogacy organisations in them. So we need to start standing up for ourselves in our workplaces. The law protects us. After the Forstater case, we are protected in the law. I know it's not easy for everyone to do this. I know the culture of fear. We see what happens to other women when they speak up. But every time I see a woman getting persecuted, it makes me even more angry and even more determined. Against this tyranny and this authoritarianism. So, the other thing, I'm going to say one last thing. If you work in an industry where you're fed up with this stuff too, then set up your own scene. We're doing it for financial services, the civil service are doing it. We've got templates. You know, we need to start pushing this out into our workplaces, that this matters. Our protected characteristics in the Equality Act matter. Our rights in the workplace matter.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we've got one of our women who's been speaking and joining us and organising for years, and we love her. It's Fatina.
Hi everyone. I thought
Right up.
all right, hold around.
Oh right, yeah, nice.
Oh wow! It's so good to be here, and thank you for everyone coming today to support women's right to speak. I thought the last speech was brilliant because what I'm going to speak about is related. Louder! What I'm going to speak about is related. So, I did want to speak about a few things. The international capture of national human rights institutions. Yes! In particular, Australia and New Zealand. Yes! Another time, sorry. The other thing I wanted to speak about is the statement at the UN made by Argentina and 28 other countries claiming that sex self-ID is some kind of international human rights standard. That's absolute rubbish. And I will explain more. The other thing is UN CEDAW, other UN treaty bodies and other human rights mechanisms another time. Today, I would like to speak about something related to you. Have you heard of ESG? Environmental, social governance, investing policies. So, BlackRock, you can Google them. They're the biggest asset management company around, They've got assets worth, 10 trillion, 20 trillion? What does it matter when you get to that level? They own everyone. So, Larry Fink, the founder and CEO, in 2018, he launched the ESG scoreboard. So they want to make you go along with whatever they believe. And of course, they believe in this biology denialism and everything else. They don't believe in truth. In the USA, gratefully, there has been conversation and a pushback against ESG policies. So why I wanted to mention that is, I think that's something we should really talk about here. Now, after 1 year after, Larry Fink, his trustee of the World Economic Forum, all comes together. What did they launch in 2019? It's called the Partnership for Global LGBTI, now Q+ Equality. And guess who's on that list? Your workplace. All the private companies have signed up to it. And what they've said is they will pressure governments to change things. So they have signed up to this
nonsense, and it is shocking when you go and look at the list. I promise your company's on that. And what they have done is recently, a couple of years ago, they were trying to coerce the government of Japan, all these major corporations, to change their laws to include gender identity. So I don't want to take up more time. I'll try to come back with some more details.
Yes,
but please look up ESG and the Partnership for Global Equality, PGLE. Thank you. Gone up the top there. You right?
Hi, my name's Jill. Can you hear me? Yes. My talk follows on quite well from the previous one because I want to expand on the UN's involvement in what is happening to our society. My speech is focused on the wider agenda and how our rights are impacted even more than they're impacted by just trans ideology. Transgenderism, net zero, CBDCs, zero trust are all part of the same agenda to control and enslave us. We are moving into a zero trust world that has been introduced without our consent. It is a system of top-down control, and it will control the people, the children, us women. This system is not to improve our rights and freedoms. It is about destroying our rights and freedoms. A zero trust world is where artificial intelligence and biometrics are used to control data and access to control us. It will begin with digital ID, where all your data will be held in one place, and this is coming in December. This will be followed by CBDCs, central bank digital currencies, which will be able to track, control and block all transactions. You will be prevented from buying stuff which will be controlled using carbon credits. You will not be able to save benefits. There will be no protest strategies like non-payment of fines, an example of which we successfully beat the poll tax with, because these fines will be automatically debited from your CBDC account. You will not be able to access your bank account, visit hospitals without your digital ID and face recognition. Data will be harvested from every transaction and will be sold to stakeholders using blockchain technology. The currency will be CBDCs. AI technology will be used to monitor us, restrict our movement and turn us into commodities. We will become commodities controlled by 17 so-called sustainable goals set out by the UN Agenda 2030. We will be governed by a system similar to the Chinese social credit system. You will be stopped from doing things or saying things if your score isn't right.
Exactly.
This is much more serious than the social media bans that have prevented debates like this. Carbon credits will be used to keep you in your smart cities. Lockdowns were used to test if the people will tolerate totalitarian restrictions. ULEZ, LTNs, CADs, 15-minute cities are the start of the implementation of smart cities. If you think 15-minute cities are a wonderful utopia where people will be able to walk to access all their amenities, it might be worth asking why they are starting with cameras and fines instead of parks and hospitals. The green agenda is not about saving the planet. It's a Trojan horse to introduce a technocratic agenda. There will be no flying. There will be no cars, no wood burners, no gas, no meat. Green people love the idea of net zero, but if they really understood the implications of the real agenda, they would think again. CO2 is the gas of life. It makes plants grow. Net zero is zero us, zero you. CO2 is not a pollutant. We are being lied to about climate data. If you're interested in exploring this more, please look up Sandy Adams and Sonia Poulton. This is not a world I want for my children or grandchildren. Green policies are not green. They are not democratic. Just as we've been able to see through the trans agenda, we must see through the green agenda and the net zero lie.
Well done. Well done.
Lots of applause for that. I thought it might be a bit more controversial.
For all the people who take the vaccine and follow this madness.
You can speak again.
Let women speak! 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 Let women speak!
I said something quickly and that's it. Don't say it.
Okay, right. We need a woman who's like this at the end. This women. Yes, of course you can speak at the end. Men after women. Women, ladies first. And we have another woman. She had a 15-minute speech. I said no, that's too long for outdoors. So she's going to try and make it just 5 minutes. Okay.
So it's called Let Women Speak, bro. It's called Let Women Speak. That's why you're here, right? He can speak after. There's no problem.
Men speak after the women. Men speak after the women.
And that's what she
Let's
said.
just get on with it, all right? If you don't like it, leave.
Why don't you make me leave, sister?
Piers, explain
You
to
don't
him.
like it.
Right, I'll
I don't agree with what was said. I agree with her right to say it.
They don't need to use the let women speak.
Let women speak.
Shout it out, please.
There was a game show recently called Traitors, and it involved completing tasks to win money. The traitors were selected secretly to subvert the group and take all the winnings. The rest of the group were left to work it out before the end. I wondered how long that game would have lasted if they hadn't known there were traitors among them. So when we look at what's been happening, it's reasonable to ask, how did we get here? When did teachers become a flash mob of child abuse facilitators, like a school of disorientated dolphins beached and floundering? How did they lose their compass on reality? Is it all coming from the left, or is that a fallacy to disorientate us from seeing clearly as well? Teachers teach what they are told, so who is telling them what to teach? Who is training them? Who's training the trainers? Yep. Who's training your local educational authority or your Minister for Education? Who's training the police?
Gendered intelligence.
What they think is okay. Who is training the police that they think it's okay to harass a woman in her own home with accusations of being untoward about paedophiles or with loose, unsubstantiated claims? There is an organisation that you've probably never heard of that since 1988 has been training what it calls future leaders and boasting about how it changes people. It's been at the heart of education and universities, at the heart of the Labour government, the Conservative government. It's been training future leaders in media and journalism, social services, the military leaders, charities, unions, NGOs, the church. It's been training future leaders all for 30 years. So is the training any good? Well,
No.
If you look at the mess we're in, we might say no. But if the purpose is to change people, to change their thinking and behaviour, create chaos and collapse, to install a new way of thinking, then perhaps it's worked very well. The organisation is called Common Purpose. What if there were no political parties, just leaders with a common purpose? Its founder, we are told, is a woman named Julia Middleton, and it's fair to say she's had considerable help from some exceedingly influential players when you appreciate the immense reach of Common Purpose and its semi-secretive nature. Semi-secretive because their meetings are held under Chatham House rules, which means you can use information from that meeting, but neither the identity nor affiliation of the speakers nor any other participants may be revealed. Julia's also founder of Women Emerging. What kind of women? In March 2021, she gave an online talk for International Women's Day to an NGO called Social Good UK on how to achieve a gender equal world.
social good are members of the UN Foundation. And Common Purpose has links to the UN too. It's all linking up. If you go to the Common Purpose website or Twitter page, you will find the most marvellous egalitarian organisation doing fun and fabulous things around the world. Julia wrote a book about Common Purpose, and in the interest of time, I'm going to cut to the chase. Her book is called Beyond Authority. It's about changing people's thinking so they are able to act beyond authority, beyond their usual boundaries. It's about blurring boundaries, the boundaries of responsibility and accountability, public and private, people, professionals. It's about reframing thinking. It's about breaking down silos and silo thinking. If you've done a course that mentions silos, you've met Common Purpose thinking. Do you know what the family is? It's a silo. It's an old silo that needs to be broken. In fact, all the silos around children need to be broken down, and the silo thinking that holds them in place. A blurring of boundaries where people act beyond authority. We know what the silos around children are for. They're for protection.
Yes.
They are strong and inflexible, and they are black and white for a reason. Because when you blur the boundaries around children to 50 shades of grey, children become vulnerable. And not only children, the elderly, the less able, those in care, anyone in hospital is vulnerable when boundaries are blurred. And when respect for the vulnerable is lost, it presents an opportunity for predators to enjoy a feeding frenzy. And I would suggest this organisation is fueling the circumstances for such opportunities. Example, Rotherham rape gangs. David Compton, a Common Purpose leader having completed the Matrix course in 1995, was Chief Constable of South Yorkshire Police. Robert Dyson, also a Common Purpose leader, having done the Matrix course in 2000, was temporary Chief Constable prior to David Compton, and independent chair of Barnsley Safeguarding Children's Board. The J report stated the police gave no priority to child sexual exploitation, regarding many victims with contempt. Girls as young as 11 raped by multiple predators. Were the police having trouble seeing them as children? Yes. Had their minds been reframed, perhaps to see these children not as victims but as protagonists who brought it on themselves and deserved it? Farouk Hussein, disgraced member of Rotherham Council, was accused of stifling the conversation because of racism as people asked legitimate questions. Was he blurring the boundaries? A recent review of the Rotherham case by Charlie Peters revealed Hussein is now a senior diversity and inclusion role with the NHS. But he failed to reveal that Hussein had been part of the Common Purpose programme and the next generation of leaders in local government, along with Joyce Thacker. And Common Purpose leader Sonia Sharp was director of Rotherham Children's Services prior to Joyce Thacker. And it's interesting to note that Sonia was apparently headhunted for a job in Australia. And took a lead role in young people's services there in the state of Victoria. I've got more on it, but time is up.
Well done, well done. And just so you know at home, my phone's on low battery now. I can't charge it because then I won't have the mic. So we're going to have real short speeches, real short and real loud. Come back. Right up to the top if you can, real belt it out. I'm in a difficult situation.
Hello, Speakers Corner!
Hello!
My name's Sally, I'm a lesbian, but I want to talk about language and the capture of language. And we've seen it in lots of different ways. So firstly, in no particular order, just as it occurs to me, violence! When we say women don't have penises, we're doing them a literal violence. If that was true, the streets would be littered with dead bodies. But apparently, when a rabid mob turns on a group of women trying to do what we're doing today, they're brave and stunning individuals protecting the liberty of the most vulnerable and discriminated against people in the world. I don't think so. Thank you. No. They've taken the word identity and made it mean something else. identity. If I identify that thing there as a lamppost, it's because I'm accurately describing what it is. And you all know what a lamppost is. Hands up if you identify as a woman. No, you don't. We are women. Seriously.
Do that again.
Oh no. I'm not with the group of people I thought I was with. You've disappointed me. Men don't identify as women. They pretend to be women. I will not call them gender identity, whatever, trans identify us. They're gender pretenders. Yes! And let us be under no illusion that the gender pretender agenda is deeply embedded in patriarchy, in the worst misogyny and homophobia that patriarchy has to offer as well. And as a lesbian, me and other lesbians, we are doubly, trebly discriminated against by I can't even say it myself. Gender pretender agendas.
That's because it's all bollocks.
Yeah. It's all fucking bollocks, yeah. And they've got plenty of that. Thank you. So as a lesbian, my government says that men can be legally women. If you're a heterosexual man and you become legally a woman, you don't stay heterosexual, or either you do, you stay a heterosexual man, you go on being attracted to women. Yes. If you are legally a man, a woman who is attracted to women, you are legally a lesbian. Shame. My government thinks that men can be legally lesbian. Never! Shame on them! I'm from Scotland, tell me about it! My government believes that I have to have men in my spaces. My government, they're not my government actually, they're somebody else's government, I don't know who. But anyway, the Scottish government, they seem to believe that men can be women by saying so. And when you talk to them about it, I happened to bump into Nicola Sturgeon at an event, and I started to talk to her about men in women's spaces. And she started talking about rapists in toilets. I'm not interested in talking about rapists in toilets. Well, I am, of course, because I don't want rapists in toilets, or hospital wards, or prisons, or mosques, or swimming pools, or anywhere else. But more, I don't want them in my space, not my safe spaces, my space. As a lesbian, lesbians are uniquely affected by this gender identity bollocks. Gender pretender agenda bollocks. I need to get it rolling off my tongue. Because it's our life. My life used to be women's events. We had lesbian events. We had lesbian discos. We had women's discos. We have a lesbian walking group. We have a lesbian social club. All these things are no longer legal because we have to let bloody men in. Men who are legally lesbians. So let's stop talking about women's safe spaces, or let's not stop talking about women's safe spaces, but as well as talking about women's safe spaces, can we please start talking about women's spaces? Yes. Women's space, all our space. Yes. The space that women, and we've seen when you let men into women's spaces, you never have to wait very long for an example of the entitlement, the superiority, the rights that they bring with them. They don't leave their entitlement at the door when they decide to come into women's spaces and call themselves lesbians or women. No, they don't. They bring all their male superiority, all their male privilege, all their male bullshit with them. And I don't want it in my space. No. And I don't think any of you do either. Well, you men might want men in your space. None of the women here. All of you who identify as women. All of you who identify. I did not expect that, seriously. Anyway, thank you. Thank you.
What a perfect speech. Now, we've got one of our baby turfs who comes a lot and we love her. It's Esme. Belt it out, Esme.
Yes, you've got to go. Okay! Bloody hell, there's not you in.
Round of applause for Esme!
I'll try and keep
this short because everyone knows I like a good essay, right? Last Friday, a woman was nearly killed for hosting events where she gets a sound system, gives a microphone to ordinary women like us and lets them say whatever they want. I thought I was going to watch a woman die live on YouTube for doing this. Why did this happen? Men, in short. Men in the crowd who hate women. Men great crashing her event, and men, and also some women, smearing her. In Melbourne, a far-right group of idiots invaded Let Women Speak. Despite the women having no control over this, it has been used to smear Kelly J. The far-right, the group dismissed Kelly J as a radical feminist atheist, and she has called them, which I think we can all agree with here, sad, pathetic men.
Yes.
And we also will agree that it is preposterous that these people even exist in 2023. There were calls for her visa to New Zealand to be revoked. This was denied as the Immigration Minister, Michael Wood, said her entry was not a threat to public order. So he can guarantee the safety of all involved, right? At Auckland, there were no police at the bandstand or barriers, despite the build-up, a particular highlight of which was TV station Discovery New Zealand blurring her hand while she was adjusting her zip, claiming it was a white supremacist gesture. In the same video, she encouraged Maori women to speak up. Of course, the Kiwi media did not show that section, lest their lies be exposed. Politicians added fuel to the fire, with the Immigration Minister saying he'd rather she didn't come to New Zealand, green-lighting the feral mob we all saw. Of course, at no point during either the build-up or the aftermath was anyone associated with standing for women given an opportunity to refute these smears, as that would be balanced media, and we can't have that in an authoritarian, be kind utopia. In addition to this, there is of course a history of trans activists. No, let's call a spade here. Trans extremists, violence at Let Women Speak events.
Anti-women activists.
All that, yes. In the USA, a woman had her hand broken. A woman was knocked unconscious in Melbourne. And Kelly J needed a police escort for her safety in Hobart. Despite all of this, Auckland police took rather a minimalist approach. The woman was soon surrounded on all sides. A 70-year-old woman was brutally assaulted, leaving her with a fractured skull. As far as I'm concerned, punching an elderly woman multiple times in the face is attempted murder. And I think I can speak for everyone in saying our thoughts are with this woman and we hope she recovers well.
Yes.
Kelly J was assaulted by a man pouring tomato soup on her, and it was blindingly obvious the women were not safe from the advancing mob. Surrounded by stewards and security, Kelly J ran a gauntlet in which military men brandishing whips were replaced by screaming, feral, misogynistic men clambering over each other to get Kelly J and force her to the ground beneath their feet. If she had fallen, the police at a nearby road would have been utterly powerless. This was a lynch mob reminiscent of the witch burnings of the 1600s in a progressive nation in the 21st century, encouraged and approved by leftist, so-called progressive, some of whom were in that crowd.
Shame on them!
Shame! Inside the front cover of a British passport it says, Her Britannic Majesty Secretary of State requests and requires, in the name of Her Majesty, all of those whom it may concern to allow the bearer to pass freely without let or hindrance, and to afford the bearer such assistance and protection as necessary.
Hear, hear.
The government of New Zealand fed a British citizen to a baying mob. The UK Foreign Office should be asking questions.
Shame on them!
The sole thing, more shocking than the events, is the lack of condemnation, and some so-called progressives celebrated this orgy of violence against women. Tory Wenau, apologies for the pronunciation, the Mayor of Wellington, wanted the same response to the Wellington event,
Shame on
which was
him.
cancelled. Cancelled because women cannot be kept safe if they dare speak about their rights in public. This is in the country with the worst domestic violence rate in the developed world. If only New Zealanders had the same energy for eradicating domestic violence that they do for silencing women. The man who threw a bottle of tomato soup over Kelly said it represented the blood of his people, trans-identified people. How many bottles would we need to represent the blood of our Kiwi sisters lost to and enduring domestic violence, terrorised every single day in their own homes? New Zealand is a signatory to CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. We saw women requiring personal security to speak in public about their human rights. The violent scenes showing a seething, hate-filled mob of violent men breaking through barriers designed to protect women could not be a more apt metaphor for a men's rights movement intent on violating any and all boundaries of women and girls. Last paragraph. This is not a civil rights movement. It is an authoritarian, misogynistic movement. Did black civil rights activists or gay and lesbian activists or any other civil rights activist you can name call for their opponents to suffer a violent, painful death? Trans extremists are above the law, celebrated when they assault women. They often hold signs inciting violence. Kill J.K. Rowling. Decapitate TERFs. TERFs go here. The last sign was a cardboard guillotine. I don't recall that behaviour from any civil rights movement of the past. It is time we called out this terrorism for what it is. It is not a civil rights movement, but pure, triple distilled misogyny.
Anyone at home still here? Sorry, I'm just going to check. Can you still hear me? Anyone can hear me? Make a comment to say you can hear. Right, we've got. Everyone can hear?
Stella?
This one's gone off now.
It always happens when I get to speak, don't worry about it.
Can you hear me?
It always happens when I get
Okay, actually, I'm afraid to say I've got about 8% left on the live stream. So we might. Now we've got Stella, Radical Cartoons. Pretty badly by some communists who call themselves the Morning Star. Shame on them! Shame!
Hello everybody!
Shout it out! Get up!
I can't. I'm sorry, I'm a bit disabled, can't go up the top. For some strange reason, this cartoon was being bandied about on Twitter again. I really cannot think why. A certain little man this time was very upset because 3 years ago I was cancelled for this cartoon. Those who don't know me, the Morning Star, which is the mouthpiece of the Communist Party of Britain, who made a wonderful statement this week. Probably the best, most sensible thing we've ever done. Actually, I will say one thing. They said that they were the only left party with a coherent position on gender and sex. There are 4 others that I know about: the Social Democrats, Alba, the Scottish Socialists, and the Workers' Party of Great Britain. Plus the Communist Party, so that's a few little parties you've got a choice for to vote when they stand in your area. The Labour Party are bloody useless on this issue.
Let women stand! Let women stand! Let women stand! Let women stand!
So I'm not going to read out their statement, it's brilliant. Go on their website, go on their Twitter and have a look at what they said. Communist Party of Britain. They have come under a huge load of flack this week. I actually feel sorry for the Morning Star this week. Most of their staff are members of the Communist Party and most of them are TRAs. I don't know what they're going to do. So once again, I'm saying, Mr. Chaco, when is my apology?
Yes, where is your apology?
Where is the apology? And when am I going to have my right of reply printed in the Morning Star?
Yeah,
And anybody who wants to help me out can write to them, email them and complain.
We stand for you, Stella!
Claire,
you're going to do a couple minutes? We could just cut out at any moment. It's quite exciting. Shout it out. Okay, peoples, can you hear me? Right, 88% of those sexually offended against are female. British stats, Canadian stats, Australian stats, EU stats.
99% of sexual offenders are male. British stats for 20 years. If your MP doesn't know that, I have postcards so that you can send them. We have Ireland, EU, and they are the same. Facts for winning. Okay, and that is ready just in case anybody is going to Ireland. We have 750 ready already. We had an order in last night from New Zealand and Australia. New Zealand, those stats go back to 2009, Australia back to 2011. You can see I'm not looking down at my notes. It's the same in Canada and USA. Canada since 2005 and the United States since 2011. Dear old Scotland, who can't be bothered to protect women and girls, can only send me one spreadsheet at a time. Just as well it's me. I ask on the annual comparison date. I got the FOI in yesterday. So if Scottish Government can't be bothered, I bloody well can. Oh, I've got to say bye! Okay, hopefully the folks can know we've got our very own DJ Lippy. Right. So I'm DJ Lippy, make more noise. I was expecting a little bit more of an audience with some trans rights activists to turn up today. Where are they? Good. Right, so considering their usual behaviour and the general tenor of their debate, it's like arguing with a toddler. So that being said, I thought I'd write him a little song. Yay! Everyone here will know the words. I'm going to give you a verse and you'll get the picture and just join along with me, okay? It's called The Wheels on the Turf Bus. The wheels on the turf bus go win, win, win. Win, win, win. Win, win, win. The wheels on the turf bus go win, win, win. All day long. The inspectors on the turf bus go genitals, please. Genitals, please. Genitals, please. The inspectors on the turf bus go genitals, please. All day long. The AGPs on the bus go wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. Wah, wah, wah. AGPs on the bus go wah, wah, wah. All day long. The turfs on the bus go shh, shh, shh. The turfs on the bus go shh, shh. All day long. Yay!
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Lila. I'm not much of a speaker, but since we are fighting a lie, I want to tell everybody to stop using the word with T to refer to men. Call them men who pretend to be women. Yes. Call them liars. Yes. Don't call them women. Don't call them him. Then the word with T. That's called them liars, pretenders. Liars. Yes. That's all.
I love that thing.
Hello.
Hello.
Long time attendee, first time speaker. I wanted to talk about primary schools. It's a tale of two schools. It started a couple of years ago. Some of the boys in my daughter's class were embarrassed about having to get changed in front of girls. I spoke to the teacher about it. He did a little poll. It turned out that about a third of them were embarrassed about PE because they had to change. They were 8 years old. Puberty starts at 8 for lots of girls. It's not a strange situation. I wrote to the school and I said I'd like them to change separately. How about a curtain? I didn't mention trans or non-binary at all. The response I got was it went against the diverse spirit of the school and that the trans and non-binary children might be offended or upset. No concern for the children in the class who were concerned and upset at all. This started a little letter writing campaign by me, which went on and on. They just ignored my letters. They ignored my request for meeting. I eventually got my meeting. Nothing happened. The teacher left. We started again the next year. But this time, a teacher went from classroom to classroom. At this point, we're talking about 9-year-olds. Classroom to classroom to say that one of the boys was now a girl. They were all to call him by a new name and to refer to him as a girl and with she, her pronouns. Again, they are 9. This is ideological. This is a belief system I do not share. Education is meant to be fact-based. This is not fact-based. This is the same as making my daughter say amen or peace be upon him. It is not their business to impose these things on my child. My daughter then changed school, unrelated, and we start again. But this time it was different. So we had the RHSE meeting recently. And I found out that Jigsaw were their RHEC provider. And as we all know, Jigsaw are one of the ones which mentioned in Parliament that their resources aren't based in fact and they're politically biased. Luckily that was said the week before the meeting. But this time I wasn't the only parent. I wasn't the only one who was concerned about this now. Another parent spoke up after I did. I said, I'm concerned about Jigsaw, have you checked them out? Because they were mentioned in Parliament last week as politically biased and not fact-based. And all I want for my daughter is a fact-based education. You can care for all of the children in whatever way is appropriate, including those with different identities. But you don't have to involve my kid and you don't have to pretend that it's a fact. So I mentioned Jigsaw. Another parent then spoke up. There's a review going on, did you know, into our HSE resources. Hallelujah! Finally not alone. And then they started going through the slideshow. We got to the slide where it started talking about same gender attraction. And before I could say a word, a third parent spoke up. And we agreed in that meeting that every mention of gender in those slides was going to be replaced with sex because education is meant to be fact-based. And the wonderful thing is that if you keep saying it and you keep going, and I've handed my letters and all my communication to another parent at the other school, they can pick it up and carry on. I will support them in any way I can. But now I'm not the only parent. Yay! And it's been 3 years, but my God, it's lovely not being the only one anymore. So I just want to encourage you all to go to your schools, have the conversation, be really clear. Don't fudge what you're saying. Very often we kind of just say that's not a fact. Yep. You know it's not a fact. That slide by Jigsaw where the sperm magically appears in the vagina, that's not a fact. It's not a fact. Everyone agreed with me. That was great. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say is progress is happening. It's taken 3 years for me to find any other parents to speak.
Well
up.
done. Well done.
Right, do we have any more women who want to speak or are we getting to the end? Do we have any more women who want to speak? Yeah, come on then.
Alright ladies, I'm Billy Bragg, I identify as Billy Bragg.
Right at the top.
And I am idiot. I self-identify. And right, I've come here today to tell you about women, because I know a lot about women. I've been with many different girls from many different nations. Hey, imaginations. Alright, I know I'm very attractive, right? Sorry I slobbered a bit here. But don't throw your underwear at me, please. No. I've got a song for you.
Yay!
Sorry. Please don't throw anything. Not even frilly underwear. You know, like the.
Let me check the cover.
Nothing's happening. It's just a technical difficulty. Sorry. Alright, so feminism, right? What are you on about? Feminism's great today because women are freer than ever to grow out their beards. And beauty standards. Women have their bits out freely, don't they, these days? You know, they're not ashamed of having small willies. I think I just gave myself gender reassignment surgery. I don't want to change the world. I want women and girls back in the kitchen. Because I can't sing, I'm really... I don't want to change the world. I want women and girls back in the kitchen. The only reason that this song is even a hit is because a woman, Kirsty MacColl, sang it. And that's why I don't want women to be able to win a Brit, okay? Can I have a chance to win something? I'm really good singing. Right, got you all bitching on Twitter. Right, so, if women ever got equality, who the hell would buy my crappy CD? And my wife would leave me. So I've got to be a misogynist, you see. But you can't have a loo that's female only. You can't have a swimming pool that's female only. You can't have a changing room that's female only. Unless you're on the pole and you take your clothes off for me. All right.
Okay, have we got any other speakers?
Can you speak off camera if that's okay?
Well, there's lots of other cameras here.
That's fine. I'm talking. I wrote some lyrics. I'm a songwriter. You don't have to sing them. But I just wanted to say the momentum that we have with Kelly Day requires a Let Women Speak Day. We need to claim a day of our own. Let Women Speak Day and let all the women around the world rally and speak together on this day, an awareness day. Every Sunday or an international day. It's a potential idea. I am so proud of all the work that everybody is doing. And I also wanted to say there is a bravery in speaking out. We got the vote. We had the suffragettes help us get the vote. It gave us a voice. We are all here today with a voice. So let's continue the great and hard work. And please do enjoy my lyrics. I'll pass them around. But let women speak!
Okay, someone just suggested that the 25th of March should be Let Women Speak Day because that's when that atrocity happened in New Zealand. Do we have any more women that want to speak? No? Okay, do we have any men that would like to speak? Hey mate, it's your chance. Do you want to go and speak?
Yeah, man, it's me, man. Blessings. Manners and respect. No manners and respect. Alright. Some of you might not know who I am, and some of you might know who I am. Some of you that been fighting with me fighting alongside me for the last 3 years. And this is why I don't like the police, because they've been attacking us, you know what I mean, for the last 3 years. So I know what this means, because one of the ladies explained to me about let women speak. The reason why I got involved when this lady was speaking. I was trying to expand on what she was saying. I wasn't going to speak for long, right? When Sarah Everard, you remember Sarah Everard, the lady, the girl that died?
Got killed.
When Sarah Everard died, murdered, yeah. Thanks for correcting me. A lot of people use Sarah Everard as an excuse. Sarah Everard used to come to the protest, the anti-vaccine protest. You understand? And then a lot of people was using her as an excuse. And that's the first time I heard let women speak. Because I wanted to understand what let women speak means. If it's against men, then I'm not with that. Because
ooh, watch out.
You understand what I'm saying to you? Because for me, I've been defending women, children, and everybody for the last 3 years. I've been arrested 7 times. I think Pierce Corbyn is probably the man who's been arrested more than I am. Pierce Corbyn. So you got real people here who's ready to defend their family. You understand what I'm saying to you? Not every man is against women and stuff like that. I'm always here for the children first. Always here for the children first. I've been going to the schools. No, you don't need to applaud me. Just hear me out. I appreciate it, but just hear me out because this is important. I've been going to the schools for the last 2+ years to stop these children from taking these vaccines. No, I need you guys to understand something. You see the same agenda that they're putting with these trans people to take over women's rights? It's the same people doing this vaccine and this nonsense with the central bank and digital currency. That's the lady was talking about. Even if you take the vaccine and you want to wear a mask, understand something, we are on the same side. The only peoples the peoples have is the peoples themselves. We only have ourselves. I don't vote, I never will vote. We only have ourselves. The judges, the police, them police you see right there, they work for the state. The soldiers, they work for the state. We only have ourselves. You understand what I'm saying to you? I came here because I was invited to come here today. I didn't know something was going on. A random lady messaged me like 2 days ago and said, are you the guy that was at Honor Oak standing up for us and blah, blah, blah? And I said, yes. And she said, well, Antifa might be there and they're going to come. And last time, they were, you know, a lot of the women feel threatened. I said, you know what? I'm busy today. I'm coming anyway. So I come here I come here already on edge because when I hear about Antifa and they come to attack women and children, they're gonna have to kill us. Pierce, you know what I'm talking about. The people who's been on the street with us for the last 3 years, you know what I'm talking about. We've been fighting this fight just to bring this message to the people's eyes and realize something, right? One last thing I'm going to say again. The only peoples the peoples have is the peoples themselves. Please remember that, okay? Much love and respect. And where the lady there? Where the lady there? Hey, lady. Tell that lady I apologize for shouting over you. Sorry, sister. Love, yeah?
You can speak.
A couple of seconds. You take that. You take that when I speak.
Sorry?
You say that when I speak.
Okay.
No live stream, but we've got we're still filming. So don't worry.
You can speak next. You can speak next.
Well,
Stand right up, Piers.
all right. Fantastic to be here. I mean, this is a momentous event. It really is. It really is. And I want to thank everybody who's here, men and women. And I've learned something today. The words gender, pretender, agenda. And we've got to break it. And some time ago, I remember Speaker's Corner, some people said, all this trans stuff, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And some of us said, no, it's dangerous. And now we can see how dangerous it is. The gender pretender agenda is an attack on all human rights. And it is the core, along with the climate change nonsense, it is the core machine ideology whereby they want to implement the new world tyranny. And it is now crystal clear. And just looking at things that happened today, what we've heard about, better understanding of what's happening in higher education. In higher education, academic freedom is under complete attack, and what we have now is higher education giving us
degrees in stupidity. That is what is awarded in modern education. And how they do this and why they do this is because they've got to get away from evidence-based science, evidence-based arguments in order to impose tyranny and fake science. That is happening now under your noses. And remember what happened in Germany before the war, what happened under Stalin. They put forward fake science, the Aryan race, etc. They had to control the narrative, and therefore they had to destroy democracy to impose fake science. That is happening now in front of us. And it is only us in the movement who are fighting back. The political parties in Parliament are all treacherous liars implementing World Economic Forum policy.
Even your brother?
Yes. Even my brother goes along with the nonsense of man-made climate change and the vaccine. We know all these things were sent to destroy us. And I'm especially glad that people have spoken up about the climate con, because the climate con is the ideological basis of all their rules on the CBDC, carbon credits and everything. And we have to destroy the climate con. I did have a graph to show you, which, can you pass that blue bag?
You can do that later, Piers.
It's heavy.
Yeah. Piers, do that later. Do that later, make it short.
Maybe we do it
This
later.
guy next.
Haiku is going to be next.
Oh, you're Haiku.
All right, just take a second.
Don't pull them out. Don't pull them out,
No,
Piers.
later.
Don't,
Do
Piers.
it at the pub.
Don't do the charts.
I've got it here. Look. Oh. Hello.
Piers,
Just
call
to
it
show
short.
you, all these so-called measures to reduce CO2 have done completely nothing.
You're going off topic,
That is the
Piers.
graph.
You're
All right.
going off topic.
You speak about
And
that
whatever
later.
they say, it's
Speak about that
nonsense.
later.
So later on we'll talk about
You next.
that elsewhere.
Come
And I want to
close.
say all power
We're
to
not-
let women speak.
We're not live streaming, but we're still filming. Thank you very much, Piers. Sorry to cut you
No
short.
problem.
Oh, we got another woman.
Oh.
No, it's just you're speaking into. Isla, do you want to come closer? Right. Late, mate. Thanks, Piers.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Vartsy. Some of you know me as Nordy. On Twitter, I am painting and drawing 100 detransitioned women and sharing their stories. If you are on Twitter, you can find me. You can put in Metamorphosis 100. The stories, this situation is far more common than anyone can imagine. I'm painting and drawing 100 people. But across the world, there will be thousands of these young women who want to escape womanhood. We have to change what it means to be a woman so they do not feel that they need to escape. We need to tackle male violence and the misogyny. There is an example for you right there. I don't know what's happening.
And this is why we don't want men in our spaces.
I'm sure many of you, when you were teenage girls, just like me, I actually tried on a boy's name in a girls' school. Of course, that didn't go down too well. Many of you here, when you were teenage girls, you felt uncomfortable about your body. I mean, I don't know anyone who loves having a period.
I do.
Okay, how do we share that message? I'm not really sure. We need glittery moon cups. Is that the answer? I don't know. But we need to empower teenage girls to feel like it's effing awesome to be a teenage girl and to help them find their power so they don't think the power is in trying to become a young man and going down a medical path when I don't think they can really become young men. Just an approximation. So I also
said I was genderqueer at one point, and I was all in that world. And then my eyes were opened, and now I'm here saying I have a young daughter, and I wanted to inspire her. And I thought, I can't say, well, I'm not really a woman, but hey, being a woman's great, and you should celebrate that. So then I looked at myself and I thought, I'm uncomfortable, but I have to learn to live with that and have to step into my power and feel like, how can I inspire her to think it's fantastic to be a woman? So notes on a postcard, please. So my art series is called Metamorphosis 100. It will be on display at the GenSpect conference in Ireland.
Yay! 3 cheers for GenSpect.
And at Bilia, if anyone is making all the way to Glasgow. And I am looking for galleries around the world, especially New Zealand and Canada.
Firstly, a message to the police. Given the fact that you last week served as agents of these morons trying to prevent women speaking, and you are now here on a Sunday afternoon in large numbers getting overtime payments, I suggest that all of you who have a conscience donate that extra overtime that you received today to these women's cause. Second point. Having spoken at Speaker's Corner since 1985, I can tell you this. This is one of the greatest events I've witnessed at Speaker's Corner. Because for the first time, large numbers of women have come up and spoken. I've been speaking here since 1985, and only occasionally do we have any women speaking. There was a lesbian woman, Charlene, spoke for decades. There was a couple of Christians, but otherwise not expressing their own condition, their own lives, their own sorrows, their own struggles. All power to your elbow.
Thank you to everyone who's come today. There's no more live bit. We're going to sing the song one more time. It's not on the live stream. This live stream's off, but it doesn't matter. We've got a film. We've got the camera. Can we, Isla? Can we turn it around to the crowd or hold it up here? So we're going to sing the women's rights and human rights again. I've got a terrible voice. Luckily, I haven't got a microphone. Isla, do you want to stand up here? Yes, so we're going to have our fantastic. Can I say your name? So we've got Isla Mack here, who's done the filming today. Isla! Film us singing our favourite song again. Emma, start low. And we stand together side by side. We'll not give up this fight. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. It isn't over yet. Politicians and their friends, they think we can be cowed. Our minds and bodies will defend. Our no will ring out loud. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet. So give a hand in sisterhood. Our sex will be denied. For dignity, reality, we're standing side by side. For women's rights are human rights. We won't let you forget. For women's rights are human rights. This isn't over yet. Right, we go to the normal part. If you don't know the normal part, ask a friend.
Thank you for standing up for us. Thank you.
Hello? Yeah, sorry, yeah. You're right. Yeah, no, I know it's shaky.
I'm Molly.
Yeah, she was there.
Lovely to see you. Yeah, how are you doing? Okay?
No, I haven't. That is true.
Is that it or is he doing another speech?
Well, he came in numbers to protect. Which we did. Yeah. You come in here? Yeah, no, yeah.
I love her. Jesus, that's that. I love her.
You doing alright? How you doing? That's a bit of fun. Right, I'll shut that down. Closing off now, and I'll be recording the other stuff, and the stream on this, the battery on this has run out.